Today I have Marie Barker on the show. Marie Barker owns Mindball. Keep this in, Darcy. This is the bloopers. I have Marie Barker on the show. She owns Marie Barker Wellness, and she's a mind-body wellness practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
Marie Barker is a practitioner with a passion for feeling good and empowering others to do the same. Over the last decade, she has supported women through her one-to-one and group coaching workshops, retreats, resources, podcasts, and social media content. Marie is a dedicated breathwork specialist and wellness advisor with advanced trainings in meditation, breathwork, MBCT, which stands for mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. There's a lot of big words here. EFT, which is not electronics fund transfer. It is emotional freedom technique, holistic nutrition, natural remedies, and supplementation. Her style is easygoing and heart-led. Her sessions are designed to support deep emotional regulation, stress recovery, and mind-body connection. She currently offers one-to-one in-person and online sessions through Revive Wellness in Saskatoon, as well as biannual group coaching programs and retreats. And you do public speaking.
And I do public speaking.
Like keynote speaking.
Yes.
It is 45 minutes past when you got to the studio, and now we are hitting record. So this is great. We met cold today, other than a couple Instagram messages. So
we've already gone deep into religion and all the other topics that we needed to hash out.
Yeah, we gotta like suss. It was like poking to suss each other out to see, because there's a lot of like, I think unique. What would you call it? I think you have a lot of insights that are very unique. And I think even just since you messaged me, I've been following you, and you kind of go your own way. And I kind of, I very much admire that kind of thing.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
I don't follow the common narrative, if that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah. So in our 45 minutes together so far,
yeah.
I guess I'll tell you why I invited you on the show.
Okay, let's hear it.
You asked to do it.
I
talked
know.
about, you approached me, and I was like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
And then you talked about you wanted to talk about neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
I don't even know exactly what that means. I quickly Googled it.
Yeah.
Before you came.
What'd you find?
Oh, I'm going to butcher this, but
okay.
Neuroplasticity is the mind's ability to adapt and make new pathways. And I think you were telling me since you got here, the old perception was that the mind is locked in. Hardwired.
It is not, in fact.
So
I'll give you a visual. This will help everybody who's like, what the hell is neuroplasticity? So close your eyes just for a moment.
Close my eyes.
Okay. And I want you to just imagine in the screen of your mind this field of tall grass. And it's a really beautiful summer day, and the sun is shining. It's warming your skin. And your only task is to get from this side of the field of grass to the other side of the field of grass. And you can take any which way. You could go left and then right. You could zig and zag. You could do a couple somersaults just to be fancy. And eventually you find yourself on the other side of this field of grass. The next day, you're at the foot of that field of grass once again. And your only task is to get from this side to the other side. And at this point, you can see a couple bent stalks of grass. And so you kind of take the same path you did the day before, even if it's not the most convenient. Day 3, you're at the edge of that field of grass once more. And at this point, there's a bit of a path that you've created. Again, it might not be the most efficient. It might not be the most convenient, but you take it nonetheless. By day 4, by day 5, by day 10, day 122, you are hopping and skipping and running from this side of the field of grass to the other. And that is literally how neuroplasticity works. It's not necessarily the most convenient or the most efficient pathway, but thoughts that you keep thinking on repeat become neural pathways, and then that informs your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs, and therefore the actions you take or don't take in your life.
Should I open my eyes?
Yeah, you can open them.
It's an interesting... That's a very good way to describe it.
Thank you.
I'm just trying to process.
Welcome to school.
So thinking about that, then I'm like, okay, so beliefs I have about myself.
The world at large.
Like dreams, limiting beliefs, whatever they are.
Beliefs you have about money, about how you expect people to act, about how you perceive yourself in the world. That influences how you then show up in the world. And because you have a consciousness bias within your brain will look for ways to prove itself right.
So I could see how someone would be like, this is all woo-woo.
Yeah, until they start
How'd they
studying.
So how'd they figure out this is like how the brain works? And I've recently seen like a couple videos where they show like new synapses joining.
Yeah.
I don't know how they film it, but it's like,
Well, I think they use MRIs, but
like it was like a time lapse of like neurons changing, and kind of I'm assuming that is the going through the grass, like a new problem or a problem.
yeah, you have this like little synaptic connection and this little spark of light. And it's so interesting. Like when you start studying neuroplasticity, you start realizing how much more autonomy you have over your own life just by the words that you choose to think, speak, believe. And then when you start studying things like cognitive behavioral therapy or mindfulness-based cognitive behavioral therapy, which is, influencing a big part of my work, you start to realize that the thoughts that you think influence the feelings that you experience in the body, and vice versa. The feelings that you're feeling then influence the thoughts. It's kind of this two-way highway. But then that ultimately influences the actions that you take or don't take in your life. So just as an example, if I have a thought that is, well, I'm not really good at that, I'm not really good at that thing, whatever it is. The feeling in the body is disappointment, is insecurity, is not worthy of whatever, fill in the blank. And if I'm feeling that way, also my body language is going to reflect that too, right? My shoulders might slump forward. I might kind of have this like meek expression, which then through mirror neurons, I'm reflecting out to the world, and people are going to go, oh, that person's not really confident in themselves. Whereas you look at somebody who holds themselves upright and they're confident and they shine. They emit this vibratory essence of, I want to follow whatever that person is doing. They're a leader. It's charisma. And so the thoughts that you're thinking influence how you're feeling in your body. And then ultimately that then leads to, well, if I'm not feeling very confident or worthy, I'm probably not going to get up early and get a workout in and journal and meditate before I come to something like this so that my mind and my body are primed, right? I might press snooze a couple of times. I might not eat a good breakfast because I don't value myself as much. I'm not respecting myself as much. So there's all these little ways that it influences the way that you act in the world and the way you show up. And then it impacts the results that you're getting or not getting.
So why, like, how do you use this to help other people? Because some people are just fine being the way they are. Some people are fine, like they don't want change.
Yeah, people are afraid of change, and yet change is the only constant,
Like I jokingly say to my team, I'm insufferable, as I'm like I'm very conscious of my feelings and emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I find, like, I would say, like, the thing in my life I struggle with the most / pursue to change is like gratitude and like appreciation for the moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, let's go there.
Like, anyway, so I use the phrase insufferable. It's like I'm like how is right now great? Like, and also I've had goals, I've gotten to the goals. It's like whatever. You get, like, I've ran a half marathon like years ago, and it's like once I ran it, I was like,
what changed? Probably nothing.
No.
Yeah.
It was like I didn't appreciate the getting there.
Yeah.
Like that journey.
But it's like hiking though, right? Like, I don't know. I love going hiking because here in Saskatchewan, we don't have much of that. And so I find myself in the mountains a couple times a year. And when you go hiking, the point of it isn't just the summit. The point of it is literally the like trudging up the hill and step after step after step, finding the next best place to put your feet. It's the views that you see along the way. It's feeling breathless and like you're super out of shape because you're not used to the, heights or whatever. Your lungs need a break. And so the hiking is the whole bit. It's not just the summit piece. And I think that speaks to what you were just saying there.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I'm insufferable. Like I'm like.
Do you mean you're insufferable? Like you are so focused on being grateful that people are like, hey, shut up.
I can't stop talking about it.
Yeah,
like,
but it's the best though. It's the best way to be. And
I'm not ashamed of it.
No, you shouldn't be.
I just jokingly, I'm just openly admitting, like, I can't help it. Like, before we started talking, I'm like talking about values and
yes,
ideas and the hidden order, like mostly just seeing both sides of all
Yeah, like universal
situations.
truths.
Yeah. And it's like, it just makes me like, I think I'm just so like pursuant to this idea. And then part of it is like, I'm trying to reframe just how I perceive everything.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Um,
you either see the world as if everything's a miracle or as if nothing's a miracle. And maybe that language doesn't resonate because of the aforementioned spirituality and religion talk. But it's true, though, and because gratitude can't coexist on the same energetic and vibrational plane as something like anxiety or depression, it's higher on the vibrational scale, we'll say. So if gratitude and love and bliss and joy are up here, depression and desperation and helplessness and even anger or optimism or boredom, they're kind of around the middle. And so if I'm functioning in thankfulness and appreciation and gratitude, well, I'm putting that out into the world. And because where we focus expands, when I'm focused on what's good about today, what's been good about today, what's already good about this day. First thing in the morning in my journal, I make a list at the top, or I write at the top, reasons today is already good. I have just woken up. Nothing has even happened. I've just splashed some water in my face, used my little copper tongue scraper. I got a lemon water going. Nothing else has really happened. But I'm sitting down and I'm writing down an entire list of reasons today is already good. Awesome. That is priming my brain. That is priming neural pathways to look for reasons today is already good. And then you have this part of your brain called the reticular activating system, right? It's the same part of your brain that when you start thinking about buying a brand new white Bronco, you start seeing white Broncos everywhere. It's the exact same thing. And so if I prime my brain first thing in the morning and I go, why is today already good? My brain will go, gotcha. I'm going to look for reasons today is already good. And at the end of the day in my journal, I write reasons today was good. And then I list all the reasons that the day was good. Even if there was shit moments during the day, I'm really grateful that I had that hard conversation with that person. And I'm really proud of how I showed up in that. I'm really grateful that that parking ticket happened because it made me realize how fortunate I am to have money to be able to pay that, whatever. And then you start to kind of like create this sense of perpetual gratitude and you become insufferable to people who want to suffer, but you live in a more blissful state because you realize how good life is. Like even when it's hard, and it often is, it's really good.
That's funny. Okay. So how do you use this to help people? Like these mindsets? Like, so your business is Mind Body Wellness Practitioner. Sorry. Well, I mean, that's not the name of your business. That's your...
Okay. Mind Body Wellness Practitioner came from a place of how do I create a title that encapsulates all the different work that I'm doing? Because I'm not just supporting people with holistic nutrition and natural remedies. I'm not just supporting people with breath work. It's not just meditation. It's not just tapping. It's not just journaling techniques. It's not just the cognitive behavioral therapy piece and some specific reframes to help people get out of their head and into their bodies or make sense of or make peace with certain hard things that are going on inside in their inner environment. And so when I think of mind-body wellness, what I'm trying to do in the work that I'm putting out into the world is I'm trying to help people understand that there is an inextricable link between their mind and their body. They're not separate entities. Like in our kind of like regulated Western health world or sickness care, we have mental health and then we have physical health. And even within the physical health realm, you go to specialists per organ. You go to specialists per body part, right? Like you would go to a rhinologist for your nose, but you would go to gyno for cervical cancer or something like that. And yet your mind and your body are inextricably linked. You have something called the HPA axis or your hippocampus, pituitary, adrenal, and also thyroid connection. And then through this HPA axis, you also have something called the vagal nerve. And the vagal nerve runs all the way from the back of your skull down this cascading highway. It connects your heart, your lungs, your gut health, everything all the way down. And this influences everything from digestion to mood to metabolism to motivation. And so when people are, going and about their days and they're thinking, oh, I feel really depressed, today, I need to take an antidepressant, but also I'm having weird poops or I'm not pooping. Like those things are directly correlated. It's like if you eat something and you get a little food poisoning, you feel weird mentally also, right? When you get sick with some kind of virus, you also don't feel that confident and you feel tired and lethargic and you might have a bit of brain fog and like word recall might be challenging. So what my work does is I'm trying to, first of all, influence people that it's good to feel good, because I think we live in a culture where people are pretty obsessed with what's wrong and, using coping mechanisms to just mask suffering. So I think it's good to feel good. Here's how it's your birthright to do so. And number two, here's how to get out of your head all the time so that you're, living more somatically, living more in your body, where it's generally could be a really nice place to be.
You said something about the way we've something about the medical system, like a philosophy. It was like something about sick people. What was how do you describe it? It stood out to me.
Well, I just said it was sick care.
Sick care.
It's not health care. It's sick care.
Yeah.
You go there when you're sick.
Now, okay. Now, I mean, this is a little bit of a tangent, but the body heals itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I've thought about this for a while. It's like technically a surgery, the doctor's doing more damage than you had originally.
It's nuanced for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to be the person that says like, oh my God, I'm anti-surgery. That's not the case. I've had surgeries.
Yeah. I'm not saying
sometimes it's necessary.
But it's like doctors don't heal you. The body heals itself. Doctors help the body do its job.
Here's the nuance, is that the body, just like the mind, needs an appropriate environment in which it can heal. So when we talk about stress, for example, one of the main components of my work is stress reduction, right? Mindfulness-based stress reduction. I use somatic practices like
somatic
tapping.
Is breath work?
Somatic just simply refers to connecting the body and mind. So if you think about, focusing on a body scan meditation or tapping, emotional freedom technique, really beautiful somatic practices, even like jumping, shaking, yoga, dancing, those are all somatic practices to get you out of here and into here. Yes, absolutely. You ever see like the Qigong videos online where people are swinging their arms and they're doing all that kind of stuff? Somatic practice, right? So you're bringing movement into the body intentionally with the mind. Yeah. Where was I going with that? Oh, I was
talking about you said the body needs the right environment to heal.
The body needs the right environment to heal. And so that environment also pertains to your internal environment. I like to think of the mind as a garden. The seeds that you plant in there, the thoughts that you plant in there, you can either plant flowers or plant weeds. And the, recurring thoughts that you have, the recurring feelings that you have in the body, that's then going to cultivate whatever grows in the mind.
This seems so obvious to me that like, especially after that, close your eyes, walk through the field, go to the other side.
I'm a big nature girly, so a lot of the visualization stuff I use pertains to nature because I think it's really simple. It's really simple to understand.
It's obvious to me, but I guess in contrast, why don't people this is like opening my mind, so my questions are a little bit subpar here today. Like, why don't people do it? Like, why do people like to see it as like different, separated? Oh, I'm just that way. I just have this problem. I live with it. My job is to cope with it, not to solve it, or I don't know. Like, it seems like there's like a bit of a pessimistic view of like, I mean, heaven forbid you say someone doesn't have to suffer with their thing, because also it can be for some people their identity.
So that is why people don't want to change. As soon as you identify with a state of being, I'll give you a very specific example. I spent a lot of my life physically and mentally ill. It's one of the main reasons why I'm in the wellness field doing the work that I'm doing now, because I first needed everything that I teach comes from a place of lived experience and a tool that I once adopted and then studied obsessively and then came to a place of teaching it. So I used to identify with sicknesses. I used to identify with diagnoses that I had. And I've had lots of diagnoses: IBS, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, hypothyroidism, celiac disease, all these different diagnoses. And what I used to say was, I'm the sickest person I know, or I'm so sensitive, or that's my PCOS, or my body's the worst, all of these affirmations that are so negatively rooted. And because the subconscious mind does not know the difference between real or perceived, it just accepts it as truth. And so what I was doing effectively was I was reaffirming this sickness over and over and over again in my body. And a lot of people don't understand, like, when you think of your mind, where's your mind?
Like right now?
Yeah, like, where's your mind? Like, point to it.
Oh, like physically?
Yeah, where's your mind?
I mean, I would say it's like here.
Right, so you're pointing at your brain, not your mind.
I think I would point there though, because my eyes are there.
Right.
And my eyes are like how I locate things in the 3D space in the natural world or whatever.
Sure. But even your eyes are taking in wavelengths, and then there's a chemical reaction that's then sending, signals to the brain. But what about your hands in space? What about proprioception? Like your mind is in the trillions of cells in your body. Your mind is in your entire body. And so when people start to understand that, it's like, okay, well, how does this, look? How does this impact me? How can I change my mind? Because if your conscious mind is the goal setter, which, consciously we could sit down and write some SMART goals, and we could write down, I want to be healthy and I want to feel better. I want to make $1 million, whatever. Your subconscious mind is your goal getter. So you could set all the goals you want consciously, but if subconsciously the programming that's running is I'm not worthy, I'm not allowed to, having a lot of money is bad, if I'm too healthy, it means other people won't be as much, like whatever the underlying belief is, that's ultimately driving the behavior that you have in the world. There was a
Is this maybe the neuroplasticity part? You can say things all you want, and then how do you actually, if it's your subconscious that's sort of driving the train,
like what's the pragmatic, tangible way to change your mind?
How do you change the subconscious?
Sure.
Or can you?
Yeah.
Is the other question.
Absolutely.
And how much of it's plastic? How much of it's like who you are? Because, and I'll give an example. It's like, I like a lot of the things I like, and I didn't choose, unless, challenge me if you think so, but I didn't choose to like what I like. And that's like probably as a non-religious spiritual person at this point in my life, it's the most divine thing I think about myself. It's like, I don't know what it is, but I like photography. I like I've had these trends in my life that are just subconsciously true. So my actions tend to.
Right. It's like nature versus nurture.
And we're here with Mike's cameras. Like,
yeah.
I'm living my values in this room every day.
Yeah.
So
I love meaningful connection. I love dissecting big topics and, breaking it down into digestible bits to teach people so that they can improve their well-being in their lives. And so this is also me living my values, being in conversation with you.
Now, do you think that's even plastic? Like, I guess how in the weed, like, do you choose those things, or is that changeable?
It depends how esoteric you want to get, because you could get as esoteric as the soul chooses which body to come into. You know what I mean? Like, you could get really weird about it. But ultimately, if you bring it back to
let's just go back to like evident. Like, I love those conversations. I'm not smart enough to debate them, but I can listen to them. But like, even just like the desires you have. Obviously we're like a reflection of our world. Like, we're both wearing blue jeans. Like, if we didn't live,
and black tops, let's go.
Black top. So there's some sort of like, we're going through some patterns and making choices based on where we live in the world and the time we exist in. But then, like, I guess, so back to the question, what do you think is sort of unique to a person, core to them, and then how much is changeable, and what's the difference?
Percentage wise, I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I think one of my personal beliefs, based on the things that I've studied through, psychology, theology, astrology, etc., I think that we're born with a set of preferences and kind of a design. We're born with like a specific inclination towards certain things, depending on when we're born, where we're born. And there's lots of different fields of study. There's a whole kind of like language decoder study called human design. Are you familiar?
Yeah. Is that the thing?
You need to know what time you're born and when you were born and where you were born. But basically, this field of study kind of incorporates a few different other fields of study or methodologies like astrology or the I Ching or the Kabbalah. Anyways, not to bring human design into it, but there are ways to kind of make sense and decode like your design as you were born. But when it comes to neuroplasticity and when it comes to changing your mind, which is part of the work that I get to do, mostly because it works for me first, and then I get to share it with my clients and students in my programs. So much of what we think can be changed, because if a belief is just a thought you keep thinking, then of course you can change your beliefs. And where people get hung up is they think that beliefs are hardwired, and they're certainly not. They're just something that you have thought in a pattern for a really long time. And so back to that field of grass example, it's just like it's like a dried mud track in that field of grass. It's so well rooted that it feels inherent to who you are. You've identified with it also, which puts a whole other,
Like now you've put your own paving stones on that
yes,
and put
now,
some flowers in the
oh,
ditch
you've
because
written
that's
your
who you are.
name in there. You've
Yeah.
got handprints in that concrete. Like you're in there. This is who I am. That's just the way I am. I'm not a morning person. I'm not a this. That's not me, And I think part of that could be a recognition of, hey, I don't generally like some of these things, but it doesn't mean that that's truly who you are as an essence, because who you are as an essence, I mean, again, we can get esoteric
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like, who am I? Am I a who? Or
I think I want to go back to
I'm in a simulation, just so you know.
yeah. We're getting weird, folks.
Just
One
kidding.
of one of the things that you brought up before was, how do people actually change their mind, and why do people maybe like say they want change or are afraid of change, but then don't make the changes? And I want to just differentiate, because again, you have this conscious mind, right? Your conscious mind is my five senses. I'm taking in this room, the light, I'm, hearing things, I'm smelling things, I can, taste my matcha, whatever. So my conscious mind is taking in all of this stimulus, and my conscious mind then decides, do I want this? Do I not want this? What do I think about this? As your conscious mind brings in thoughts, you get to say yes or no to these thoughts, right? And then as you say yes or no to these thoughts in a kind of consistent and emotionalized way, you move into the subconscious. So anything that is consistently practiced, consistently thought, and or emotionalized, that then moves into the limbic system, moves into the subconscious mind, which is more your kind of feeling body. And so anything that gets embedded in the subconscious mind is a little more tricky. I don't want to say impossible by any means, because we're talking about neuroplasticity and changing your mind. But anything that's rooted in the subconscious mind is a little more tricky to change, because it's been more deeply embedded. It's kind of like a thermostat setting, right? You set your thermostat at a specific temperature, and if the windows are open or whatever, it'll kick in and it might cool down the space or it might heat up the space, but ultimately you'll come back to that same temp that you've set it at. Your subconscious mind is kind of like that. It's like your software programming. If your body is the hardware, your subconscious mind is the software. And so you need to recode your subconscious programming in order to change the way that you're being in the world, to change the way that you're thinking, to change some of the beliefs. And it is totally possible. But it is really important to differentiate between, these are conscious thoughts, these are subconscious thoughts, because a lot of people consciously will say, well, I want to change. I think I'll be happy when. But
like an easy one is, I want to lose weight.
Right.
Like, well, does your behavior show that you...
Why do you want to lose weight, though? What's the feeling that you'd like to incur by losing weight? Because you think that you'll feel more worthy. You think you'll feel more confident. You think you'll feel healthier, happier, more magnetic, whatever. You think it'll lead you to some other feeling state. But the trick to all of this, because that kind of comes from like, when I have this, then I will feel this. And what I'm trying to encourage people is, can you bring more of those feelings into the now and understand that as you feel more of those things now, even if it's just in your imagination, you will quite literally, again, because the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between real or perceived stress, joy, success, etc. And look at any famous athlete or high-performing person. They use visualization as a technique, right? And so if I'm bringing in some of those feelings now, like, okay, what does it feel like when I'm living in my dream house with my dream career and my dream body and whatever the goals are for that person? How does it feel? Okay, let me just think about that. Let me feel into it. Oh, it feels freeing. It feels awesome. I feel happy. I feel like satisfied. I feel peaceful. I feel whatever. Enter anything that you want to feel. And then as you flood the system with some of those feelings, with that visualization, what you're doing is you're actually creating a future memory that's embedding in the subconscious, which will then influence the reticular activating system to look for more reasons to make that happen in the real world, which will then lead to inspired action that you will take to then make that thing inevitable. Does that make sense?
It does.
It's not, it sounds so simple. Like there's a lot of life that happens in between there, but ultimately that is how our minds work.
Now, I tend to come back to like now we're talking about maybe having a bit of agency over the future.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other idea, the thing I'm pursuing is like in the moment, exactly right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how does that connect to right now? Like, you don't need the house to be, or like in that example, like it's irrelevant if you have a better house or worse house in the future.
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion.
So it's not even about the thing in the future. It's about what is the feeling state that you would like to live more frequently in. And if you want to talk about the physiology of it and how that influences you in this moment right now, back to kind of the stress conversation.
Yeah.
Again, because the nervous system, because the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between real or perceived stress. If I feel stressed in this moment from the thoughts that I'm thinking of lack, of unworthiness, of this person wronged me, or I have so much to do and I'm so stressed out. Again, because we don't know, like the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference, we're firing then all of these chemicals, cortisol, adrenaline, epinephrine, etc. You're, decreasing stomach acid. You are shutting off blood flow to certain parts of your brain, your memory, your, even your prefrontal cortex. You're like literally enlarging the amygdala to be like, yo, all systems fire. Do I have enough? Like, can we thicken platelets just in case we gotta we're
going to
clot.
battle.
We're going to
Yeah.
battle. And so then that's when you kind of get this like chronic fight, flight, freeze or fawn state that most people are living in. And so it influences you right now because how you're feeling right now is also influencing the thoughts you're thinking. Like we talked about that two-way highway. And if you're influencing what you're thinking or you're influencing what you're feeling, you're also influencing the stress state that you're in. Are you constantly in a parasympathetic, rest and digest state? Or are you finding that your body is in fight or flight? 99%, 100% of the people who come to see me as clients, I ask them, what's your intention with this session? And like 100% of people will say, I feel like I'm always in fight or flight. I need some techniques to help me down regulate. I need support in feeling less anxious all the time.
I'm thinking, okay, I'm married. My wife, I feel like, she already said she wanted to talk
I
to
know,
you about
apparently we
something.
know each other, so that's great.
Tell me about like how social media plays into that. Does it make that, does it heighten that fight flight? Like,
Of course.
I'm not like experienced on these words, but like you're talking about the rest, read, digest state
Rest
versus
and digest, parasympathetic.
And what was the other state?
Sympathetic.
That's
which
the fight
is
or
your
flight.
Fight or flight, freeze fawn also.
Okay, now I'm wise and I'm aware enough to know when I'm on Instagram, it makes me feel bad. And I'm assuming it puts me in that part of my body.
Yes. For so many reasons. They're so smart with it. And I don't want to demonize social media or demonize phone use as long as you're using it and not the other way around. Right? Because I think a lot of people are super addicted to their devices and they feel like they don't have any autonomy over how or why they're using it or even when. Have you ever had the experience where you go into your phone for something, get completely distracted and derailed, and all of a sudden, like 45 minutes later, you're like, holy shit, what was I even doing? That's crazy.
Well, I noticed like I go to Instagram. Like I have my
Right.
auto.
So yeah.
I've done a lot of things to like limit social media.
Okay.
I like it.
Yes.
But I don't like how it makes me like, I'm very aware of like if I feel bad, like a real example is like I can't look at people who do what I do. It bothers me because it makes me feel like there's a competition.
Of course, it puts you into comparison.
Which puts me into fight flight, and it really robs me of like what I like to do, why I like doing this.
Yeah.
Now when I see people doing things that are helpful to me, then I feel great. But like algorithms are not smart, they're not biased, they just work the way they do, and they feed things that are polarizing and I guess our fight flight is probably the reason things are addicting, and virality is probably like whatever hits fight flight works.
And it's a little bit more nuanced than that. So like when you're going on Instagram, you're being inundated with really fast, bright, colorful images, and also there's kind of this sense of I don't know what's next, and it's exciting. But because it's exciting, it's also a little stressful, right? And it doesn't need to be like negative stress necessarily, but you're also accessing really cheap dopamine. And so as I'm scrolling, it's like, what's next? What's next? What's next? This is so exciting to look at. Let me look at this. You're flooding the system with all this cheap dopamine that feels so good until it doesn't, right? Until you get into a deficit. And then when you do this chronically, real sources of dopamine, like cooking yourself a nice meal or writing in your journal or going for a walk with a friend or doing some of these other real life things, they don't have the same like juice that they once held. They don't have the same joy that they once held because you're so used to accessing junk food, dopamine, basically. It's like that. It's like if somebody's eating a bunch of junk food, if they eat a real strawberry, their taste buds will have changed and the real strawberry won't taste as sweet.
So sugar and social media basically the same for your body.
Well,
Like
yeah, it's also the same as
sugar
crack
spikes your
cocaine. It's
insulin,
like
like sugar spikes your insulin, or makes you have to like
mm-hmm.
balance out.
Mm-hmm.
Is social media and that cheap dopamine. Like, is dopamine? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not an expert on this.
Dopamine is a neurochemical. It's
Is it a
like
hormone?
yeah, it is.
Okay.
It's
And
like
then insulin's a hormone.
yeah.
And so your dopamine is like your insulin responding to your.
Yeah, exactly. You can spike it,
Okay.
right? And then it'll dip. It's like if you drink coffee first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, right, without eating breakfast, what happens is you interrupt your cortisol. And your cortisol is beautiful. You need it to wake up in the morning. We shouldn't demonize it. I think too much cortisol all the time, yeah, probably that's an issue. But you need cortisol to wake up in the morning. And so as you wake up in the morning, cortisol starts to rise and melatonin drops. And then as the day goes on, cortisol hopefully drops and melatonin rises. And then you get this like sleep-wake cycle, your circadian rhythm, this like 24-hour clock, which we all have, men and women. Women have a secondary biorhythm called the infradian rhythm, which is like a 28 to 35-day cycle.
Like based on menstruation.
Okay. Yeah, we have a secondary biorhythm, but that's besides the point. Your circadian rhythm, this 24-hour clock, your cortisol is directly influenced. And so back to this coffee on an empty stomach. If you drink coffee on an empty stomach in the morning, you're actually disrupting the cortisol response because you're jacking cortisol up kind of synthetically with that coffee. And you're also suppressing another hormone called adenosine. And do you ever notice that if you don't eat breakfast and you drink coffee on an empty stomach around 2 to 3:30, 2 to 4 p.m., you get a little bit of a slump and you're pretty tired?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's that adenosine hormone that doesn't go away, it just gets suppressed. That's adenosine coming back because it has to get expressed. It's just been suppressed for the first few hours of the day and then it comes back into play. So I would say, and this is not just my ideas, this is science, but if you eat breakfast, you support a healthy blood sugar response, right? Especially if you're eating some good protein, fat, fiber, and then you can have your coffee. And what will happen is you're not suppressing that adenosine, you're supporting healthy blood sugar, healthy glucose throughout the day, healthy insulin. And so you have more of this like steady wave. And the same is true about social media and about any of these like cheap dopamine, hits that we're getting from things. So if you're going to go on social media, wonderful, like allow yourself that. But before you go on social media, quote unquote, eat breakfast. Spend the first 5 to 10 minutes of your day having a glass of lemon water with some sea salt to remineralize. Sit and breathe. Regulate your breath first thing in the morning. How few people are breathing fully. I work as a breathwork specialist. I'll tell you that many people don't realize it, but they're breathing short, sharp, and shallow up into their chest.
I wonder if that's what my wife wants to see you about.
Yeah, maybe. Tell her to come. And so if I'm breathing short, shallow, and sharp up in here, like there's literally a new clinically diagnosed thing called screen apnea. And it's this condition where you're looking at your phone and you do this. And you realize, oh my God, I haven't been breathing for the last how long? And what that does is that puts, again, subconscious.
No, I do that when I watch scary movies.
Yeah, because that's eliciting a stress response in the body. Yes. Like I won't watch scary movies. I won't listen to murder podcasts. I'm not going to do any of that stuff because I know that that's putting my body into a state of fight or flight and I don't need more of that.
Is that also cheap dopamine?
Well, for sure it is because it's also cheap fear. But it gets a little bit complicated because people are a little bit addicted to feeling stressed out if that's all they've ever really known. The body and mind love this like homeostasis, and the homeostasis doesn't necessarily mean that it's good for us.
Okay, so we've talked about social media, but there's video games, there's movies, there's books, podcasts, board games.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I'm like if I don't know if you're thinking through problem solving, let's say even chess, or I really like board games.
Yeah.
It's like you're thinking of like your strategy, and you're like, is that your fight flight, or like what part of your brain is like when you're like trying to overcome something? Like, because I feel like video games, I heard it talked about as like, even though it's made up totally fake, it's like it gives your brain the same response of doing something in real life, which is why they're addicting. I don't know why it's more men than women play video games, but
I mean, it's problem solving. I wouldn't blanket statement say it. Like I wouldn't blanket statement say this is fight or flight. I would say that the brain loves solving problems. The brain is always trying to solve problems. The brain is also trying to always look for what's wrong. We have a negativity bias, right, as a survival technique. And so the brain is always looking for like, what's wrong here? How can I solve it so that I can feel safe? Ultimately, that's kind of what's going on. If I can solve this problem, if I can put a name to this diagnosis, if I can put a name to this thing, if I can call whatever's happening in that relationship exactly as I think it is, I'll feel right, I'll feel safe, and then I'll be able to relax. So I think that's kind of maybe more what's going on, not necessarily because the fight or flight response it is addictive. Like, people are a bit addicted to stress because if it's all you've ever known, then of course that's what you're going to crave, right? Even
Like
if it's
gambling
dysfunctional.
basically is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got a story about gambling.
Okay.
When was it? It was like last year. I went to the casino, and I'm not labeling myself as a degenerate, but
Okay.
I was like, I'm gonna go by myself. I actually don't. We went to Vegas a couple times with some friends, and anyway, I had some money, and I was like, I'm gonna go play blackjack.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it's like I like learning the game,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't like going with someone. I don't like going with my wife. I don't want her to like her stress on me. It's like, like if you win, you should just walk away,
Okay.
right? But it's like, to me, it's like that game of like cat and mouse or whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. Anyway,
Getting that dopamine.
I brought like $600 into this casino. This is Dakota Dunes, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I walked out like 4 hours later with $4,600.
Amazing.
But my Apple Watch was like, something's wrong. You have an elevated heart rate and you're not moving.
Yeah.
And I left and my hands were clammy.
Yeah.
And I felt like really weird. I felt like, I
Stress.
don't know. Yeah, like I had been in stress
Absolutely.
for like a prolonged amount of time.
Absolutely.
And I was like, this is so bizarre. Like, and I'm like, I wonder what like I'm doing to my brain. Anyway, that was like a couple of
Yeah.
two years
Again,
ago.
because the stress response, like, if the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between real or perceived, then you sitting at the table, holding your breath, clenching, waiting, anticipating, all these things, you're flooding the system with adrenaline. You're flooding the system with all of these different, hormonal chemicals, this like symphony of excitement, and also a little bit of fear and trepidation and excitement. It's along the same energy centers in the brain. But that like clammy handedness, that's an exact example of psychosomatics. So this is an exact example of how your mind is directly correlated to your body and vice versa. If you are nervous about something, right? Say you're going to speak on stage or I'm going to go speak at a large event. If my hands start getting a little sweaty and my guts start turning a little bit, or I kind of start to feel a little bit cold, that's a direct stress response in my body. And there's specific things that I can do, specific techniques that I can use with the breath, for example, to kind of like down-regulate and bring myself back into that feeling place of safety in the body. Because again, it all kind of comes back to, I don't feel safe in my body. Do I need to run? Do I need to hide? What do I need to do here? We got these like primal brains that are kind of running our shit. And so just as an example, if you are leaving the casino like that, you're like, God, I'm feeling pretty like weird. I'm wired. I'm tired.
I was very aware. I was like,
And it can be strange. You're like, did I have too much even like having too much caffeine, it's like, whoa, like I feel too much stress all at once in my body. I think that quite a few people mistake regulation for calming down. They think that if your nervous system is regulated, it means that you're always calm and like zen. That's not the case. It's just if I express anger healthfully, if I express excitement healthfully, how quickly can I return back to a state of my own homeostasis, like my own feeling of like grounded awareness. And so for you, after the casino, for example, what you could do next time is you're feeling kind of weird in your body. You get into the car, and before you even like turn it on or go to drive away, you could take a deep full breath in, fill your belly with air. At the top, clench your hands, clench your feet.
I can just right now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Like thinking about it is
we'll
like
do
literally
3.
like putting me back.
Putting you
there.
back into that place. Okay, so
okay, walk me
and
through
you
it.
just proved also, right, that the mind can create the stress response in the body and create the physical feelings in the body. That's literally called psychosomatics. It's the same thing as like you walk into a room and somebody's angry and you're like, oh, I don't feel safe here. Like somebody's mad, right?
Okay, tell me if this is the same thing.
Yeah.
I see a skateboarder going down a rail, and then like they lose it and they land on their crotch on the rail.
And you feel it.
And I literally feel it.
Yeah.
Is that psychosomatics? Like,
That's psychosomatics, and that's also mirror neurons, and that's also a few other things going on. Okay, but we'll go back to this clench breath. Okay, so you're going to take a deep, full breath in through your nose, and you're going to fill your belly with air, not your chest. At the top, you're going to hold it for a second. You're going to clench your hands, clench your feet, squeeze your glutes, abdomen, all the little muscles in your face, and relax, release, let it go. Good. Do 2 more like that. Deep, full breath in, filling your belly.
We're not editing this out.
At the top, you're going to squeeze, squeeze, squeeze like you're a sponge and you're just wringing everything out. And then relax, release, let it go. Good. And then one more time. Deep, full breath in through the nose, filling the belly. At the top, squeezing, clenching, clenching all the little enlarged muscles. And then relax, release, let it go. Good. And then through that activity, you can notice, were there any other areas presently that you were holding tension unnecessarily?
My legs, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm self-aware enough to know.
Yeah.
For sure.
Some people will be like, oh man, my shoulders were literally at my ears. That's crazy. Or like my jaw was clenched. Why that? Or my feet were like clenched up. What the heck? Why was I holding tension in my feet? Everybody has this like bio-individual experience of stress. We all hold stress in different ways, but it's also one of the reasons why you have so many people with IBS and autoimmune disorders, right? Because if I'm breathing short, sharp, shallow up here and I'm not getting a full breath down into my lowest diaphragm, into my belly, I'm not sending blood oxygen down there. And if I'm not sending blood oxygen down there, I'm impacting negatively my immune system. Like 80% of it lives in the gut. I'm impacting my stomach acid. I'm impacting my bile flow, which impacts how I'm digesting and what I'm assimilating, like what nutrients I'm actually getting from the food I'm eating. It impacts my mood. Like 70 to 80% of your serotonin is created in the gut. And so something as simple as taking a full deep belly breath can ultimately change the physiology and your experience that you're having in the moment. But those clench breaths are really helpful because it almost works as like a lymph pump for some of the stress that you've got in your body, kind of helps to dissipate it a little bit. And
Okay.
alternatively, you could just flap it out.
I'm really enjoying myself talking to you, by the way.
Good, I'm glad.
I feel like we've spent a lot of time, sort of, this is real. It has total effect on you. It's very obvious to me.
Mm-hmm.
I hope if anyone's listening, it is.
I'm pretty sure they will, because most people are stressed out.
I guess who's like the kind of people that you can help the most? Like, I mean, and you shared with me, like you've had your own, I think you said PTSD and like all these, I don't know what you call them, but all these diagnoses, yeah.
Experiences.
Labels, I call them sometimes.
Yeah.
So who are you most primed to help? And I guess you said everybody has stress, but like, how would someone know they should maybe reach out to someone like you or you specifically?
Yeah.
Like what, like, I mean, I'm talking about we've already talked about my wife a couple of times, but like if she gets stressed, like definitely her bowels change.
Absolutely.
I don't have that problem as an adult,
Mm-hmm.
but she's not the only one I know, but it's like, I'm obviously seeing this mind gut, mind body connection.
Mm-hmm.
How would you know you should do something? And maybe what hope could someone like that have if someone just sits at home, holds all that tension,
Mm-hmm.
You're doom scrolling your phone. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, how could someone know what hope they could have to get away from that? Or
I don't know. You can use people like me as an example. Like I said, I used to identify with the statement, I'm the sickest person I know. I live in a highly sensitive body. That is true currently still. There's still things that upset my physical body, and I have a sensitive, while resilient, sensitive mind and body. That is also a gift for me because it means that I'm able to, quickly analyze and anticipate what people might need before they might even know it themselves. But it also means that I'm impacted when there's, loud sounds or lots of chemicals in a space or a lot of people and a lot of energies kind of bouncing around. So I'm pretty specifically capable to speak both professionally and personally to the highly sensitive individual or somebody who feels like they are at max capacity and they cannot add one more thing to their plate because they're noticing that they're feeling irritated or withdrawn or annoyed at these like small things in their life that otherwise wouldn't bother them. I can help, women when it comes to, hey, what's the connection between my endocrine system and my infradian rhythm or my cycle, whether you have a bleed or not, and my mental health? How can I support myself nutritionally? How can I support myself with some mindfulness practices or some stress reduction practices? So I don't want to say that this can help everybody, but it can, because everybody deals with some form of stress. Everybody needs to, eat well or suffer the consequences. And while we all have these bio-individual experiences, like you said, you don't experience IBS, but maybe your wife does. You also have
She might. I don't want to call her out.
yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
she
Well, I
totally
mean,
does. If
but
she's stressed, it's like,
But that's a natural response of the body, right?
yeah.
Because I talked about that blood flow before. So if I'm stressed, blood flow is leaving the gut. It's going to my extremities so that I can run, so that I can fight, so that I can, just in case I get stabbed, my platelets can, like the blood can thicken and clot. And so from a biological standpoint, that makes sense that I would lose blood flow to the gut when stressed. The problem is when I'm chronically stressed and blood flow is chronically leaving the gut, well, of course my digestion is going to be shut down. Why would I be able to poop if I'm supposed to run? Right?
And this is like a long-term problem from like not just acute, but
No, like acute stress is great. You can call it like hormetic stress, right? It's like doing hydrotherapy and you go into a sauna and then a cold plunge. That produces a very specific like hormesis in the body. It's like a good stress. It's creating resilience in the moment, right? And I don't want to demonize stress because stress isn't bad, but our lack of capacity and our lack of recovery, that's where we really fall short. And so where I can support people in is the recovery and also helping people to implement these like small, simple, really doable techniques and habits and ways of thinking that are going to support them so that they can be better performing and have a better experience in their life, no matter what they do.
do you think a lot of people just think this is my life, this is my prison, there's no changing it? Not that they're like being victims or, I mean, whatever. I don't really love that label, but
Mm-hmm.
they just don't see their life as, I mean, I don't know if we talked about it while recording, but we were talking about agency and people seeing like control over their lives.
I think that I think there's more and more self-awareness, which is really beautiful. And I think more and more people are recognizing like, hey, I maybe have more autonomy than I thought I did. But I think sometimes where people miss the mark is they want to take responsibility for the good, but not the quote unquote bad. And my life is so beautiful and juicy and wonderful because I take responsibility for 100% of it. And I learn and I grow from all of it. And I just think there's so much freedom to be had in that because you can't hate a plant that you take really good care of. And we're the same. Like I take really good care of myself, mind, body, and soul. It's really important to me because I know that as I take really good care of myself, I'm able to show up in the world in a bigger, better capacity and serve and be of service and impact people in a positive way. I'm responsible for my energy. If I'm having a shitty attitude one day, which let's be honest, we all fall, victim to sometimes.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, okay.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah,
insufferable.
No, for sure.
If I'm having a shitty attitude one day, right? I take full responsibility for that. And so I'm extra mindful of how am I responding and not reacting to people who are texting me or that the people on the road who I feel like are driving so terribly, whatever, like anybody that's got road rage, really just do some self-assessment and self-awareness work. Why does that bother you so much? Are you at max capacity with your stress? Could you just take a breath and realize it's really not a big deal? Are you ultimately actually just mad at yourself for not giving yourself an extra 5 minutes to leave enough time to get to the place? Are you witnessing something in another person that maybe you really don't want to showcase in yourself? Anything that you see in another person that you don't like, it's because you also have the potential of expressing that thing and you don't want to. You're trying really hard not to show that to the world. So like if you don't like lazy people, for example, you might have might feel like discipline is a really high value for yourself and being lazy is the opposite of being disciplined. And so you're like, God forbid I be disciplined. So I don't like that trait because I'm repressing it in myself. But ultimately we all have the opportunity to express any of those traits.
And we do.
I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but
no, I love this.
Yeah.
I'm like, I am in it to win it with you on this one.
Sometimes this neurospicy brain goes all over the place.
Everybody has all traits.
Yeah.
And you just show it.
The potential for.
You show them in different parts of your life.
And it's not a bad thing. I think something that I've learned in my 30s, specifically is we glorify some of these like really beautiful traits and experiences, or even like we have good emotions and bad emotions. or so we think. Like, I think some people think, oh,
We just
joy
have
is good.
emotions.
Yes, joy is good, anger's bad. Well, no, it's just energy and motion. It's just all part of the spectrum. And you actually need contrast. Like, you need night in order to experience day. You need black in order to experience white, hot, cold, etc. We just have this spectrum of emotions. And so when you stop demonizing states of being or stop demonizing certain emotions, and you just allow them to be as they are and allow them to be like parts of this whole, there's a line of therapy work called internal family systems, or IFS. And it's really helpful because what it basically does is it kind of says you have all these different parts that make up the whole of who you are, but you are not those parts. And so in IFS specifically, you would kind of access like, hey, a part of me feels sad, or a part of me feels rageful, or a part of me feels fill in the blank. But it's not who I am as an identity. It's just a part of who I am. And also, I'm not bad because I have this part. There's a part of me that feels petty and vindictive, or there's a part, whatever the thing is. But we are so afraid to allow ourselves to have the full spectrum of human emotion, and yet everybody does. So let's be more honest and responsible with
There are
it.
so many ways we can go about this. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. I think if I could suggest a practice around this topic for people, because I'm always about, here's the idea, here's the science, here's the experience you're having. How can we tie it back to pragmatic ways of practicing? Just starting a journal practice where you're kind of writing down whatever's going on in your mind, first of all, works as a really beautiful brain dump to get all this busyness out of here and onto paper. But second of all, it helps you with something called metacognition, which is thinking about your thinking, essentially, right? And I'm a student of this. I love this. I love thinking about the ways that I'm thinking so that I can improve the ways that I'm thinking and feeling, so that I can have a better experience in life and soak up more of this amazing thing that it is to be alive. It really is amazing. It's amazing I get to sit with you here on a Tuesday morning talking on a podcast about thinking. That's what we're doing right now. How fantastic is that? And
I am grateful for
I am
this
too.
moment.
I am. I absolutely am. And not even just the thought I am grateful.
And truly, not joking.
No, I know.
By the way.
It's a felt experience, right? And so I would presume that for the rest of the day, you and I will go about our day and feel that gratefulness in our bodies. And that will influence how we go out into the world. And that will influence the way that we impact and what's the word I'm looking for? The way that we interact with everybody else. Yeah.
We got time. We're gonna.
What else you got? Throw it.
No, I find this really good. I'll just share kind of my thoughts. Is I tend to look at all my emotions, trying not to judge them, but just why do I have those feelings? That's been my most recent, maybe last 6 weeks sort of thing. Why do I feel stress? We run our business. It's we have a lot of things we like to do. It's why do I feel stress? And I was taught you carry nightmares and fantasies about a lot of things in life. And I was taught that nightmares are just when you don't see both sides, and fantasies are when you don't see both sides. And so the nightmare is you're scared of some alternate path. And anyway, I go down these roads. I'm okay, what's the worst that could happen in this scenario? What are the benefits of that worst thing happening? But I try to be very aware of my emotions and how, I guess I'm not letting them not run me or run me. I'm just noticing them. And I feel that as a skill for me is quite definitely it's a skill just to even notice, just to step back.
Yeah, self-awareness.
I'm mad.
Yeah.
Why am I mad? What makes me mad?
Yeah.
I'm frustrated.
Even that, though, the language is really specific, and it can seem like semantics, but it's not. Anything you put after I am, the subconscious accepts as truth or fact. And so I am mad is affirming I am mad as a person. Whereas if you just said I feel mad, or a part of me is mad, it changes it for the subconscious mind. It changes it for, we go back to the beginning of this conversation, that neuroplasticity factor. Because if you're affirming I am mad, again,
that's not my actual language, but
yeah, I'm just using it as an example.
But when I'm thinking about it, it's I feel frustrated.
Right.
I'm noticing these feelings in me.
Yeah.
Or I'm feeling disappointed, or I'm feeling whatever the feeling.
Totally.
I'm just, I guess
noticing
that's
it. And what could be so helpful too is in that moment, whether in your journal or in a like note in your phone or something, writing down, when this happens, I feel, fill in the blank. When I feel this, these are some of the thoughts that come up. When I think these thoughts, this is the thing that I then reach for to cope with how I'm feeling, right? There was a video that kind of went viral online around this kind of same topic. And this is all like cognitive behavioral therapy. That's what it is. Your thoughts influence your feelings, which influence your actions in this like perpetual cycle. And this guy was saying, for example, if I feel stressed, I might have specific thoughts around, oh, I don't want to feel this way anymore. Or I wish I wouldn't have said that, or wish that person would have acted differently. And then the action then is, oh, you reach for some kind of vice, some kind of like a Diet Coke or a cigarette or your phone to scroll social media. And so what he suggested is you write down this list in your phone of like, when I feel like this, I usually have these kinds of thoughts and this is what I usually reach for. And even just in acknowledging that, it creates a sense of self-awareness so that the next time you have that same thought or that same feeling, you can go, wait, I've been here before. The last time I felt this way, I had these kinds of thoughts, and this is what I reached for. I'm going to interrupt this pattern. I'm just going to let myself sit with this for a second. And an emotion literally only lasts 90 seconds max. But the story that you tell yourself continues to perpetuate that feeling, sometimes for years. And so, can you allow yourself the 90 seconds that it takes for an emotion to pass through the body? And can you notice which stories you turn to mentally to kind of like continue proving yourself right and feeling right instead of good?
This is wild. Okay, let's talk about addictions. So I used to drink. I don't drink.
Okay.
Used to.
I'm laughing because I never know what's going to come out of your mouth. So I'm like, let's go. Let's.
Are you having fun?
Let's
I'm
start.
having
Yes,
fun.
it's lovely. Yes.
I used to drink. I don't drink anymore.
Okay, good for you.
I tend to cold turkey. I get all in, and then I cold turkey quit things.
Yeah.
I used to. I'd smoke during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, I just like I can't do like I think what it is like I'm like I like these things. I can't half do anything.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well if I don't want to casually do it, I'll just cut it off.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like I think that's kind of this process I've been over the last like 8 years is like noticing emotions that I'm having because it makes me tend to turn to these.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to be like, what is like things I love to do and what are like things I'm using to cope?
Yeah, amazing.
Like those two things.
Yes.
Sometimes it's hard to split it.
100%.
Like, am I doing, because you could do the same thing to cope or the same thing to enjoy yourself.
Yeah. And only you know the truth of why you're reaching for something.
Yeah.
But sometimes the person doesn't even know that why they're reaching for the thing. Because again, if their conscious mind is thinking something and their subconscious mind is believing something else, the subconscious mind will rule out every time.
So what do you think about like phones in the bedroom?
No, zero chance.
Yeah.
Get
TV in the
get
bedroom?
it out. No, zero chance.
You got any more like quick hits? I fall asleep. I feel like I'm going from one thing to the other.
Yeah.
But like I fall asleep with my AirPods in listening to random stuff. I fall asleep, but
I'm not about it. I gotta be honest.
no, tell me why. Tell me about like, cause like I'm very interested in like, I feel like when my mind feels regulated,
Mm-hmm.
like that moment exactly after I breathe in, I squeeze and I let go. It's like, it actually reminded me of like when I go to the gym and it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've been going to Pilates at the Commons
Amazing.
lately, which has been fun.
Well, it's kind of like you do the yoga class, it's the work, and then Shavasana is the rest afterwards, right? And so just like you were saying, like doing that clenching, it's just 3 breaths with 3 clenches, but it's like just a little bit of work and then, oh, rest. And then you're kind of coming back to this place of like, oh, can I soften? Like, oh, I was holding my breath. I was holding my belly. I was clenching. Can I kind of come back to myself? Can I come back to a grounded state? At any given moment during the day, you could even like set a little like gentle alarm on your phone to check in with yourself. And you can ask yourself these 3 questions. Number 1, what am I doing with my breath right now? Am I holding my breath? Am I breathing shallow? Am I taking full deep belly breaths? Am I breathing through my mouth or my nose? Because that changes also, right? Your nose has these very specific fibers. Nose hair is awesome. It literally filters out debris. It warms it as it's coming in. When you breathe in through your mouth, you get a shorter shallower breath, but you're also bringing in all of the stuff, all these particles that are in the air. And so then you're bringing in contaminants. And if you're somebody like me who doesn't have tonsils anymore because of previous strep throat infections as a kid, when I'm breathing in through my mouth all the time, I'm exposing myself to stuff that I might not otherwise want to expose myself to. And so nose breathing not only creates more nitric oxide, which helps with blood oxygen levels, but also it will help you feel better overall and you'll get a deeper sleep. So I would say when it comes to sleeping, if you want to talk about that, mouth taping is really beautiful because it helps to promote nose breathing. It also helps to promote proper jaw setting, right? If you're somebody who like clenches or does slack jaw, or like the tongue rolling. So nose or mouth taping is really beautiful. Opening a window, getting a little bit of like fresh air while you're sleeping, just for body temp regulation is really helpful. And then if you want to talk about like one of the most important and impactful sleep hygiene things, what you do before, like the hour or two before bed, really does matter. So if you're somebody who scrolls up until the time that it's time to go to bed, and then you find yourself laying there with these racing thoughts and you can't shut your mind off, well, no shit. You're driving a vehicle all day, the vehicle being your body. We're working, we're being productive, we're being responsible people in the world. You've got 17 tabs open at any given time. You get home, you're scrolling, you're stimulated, you're watching something, listening to something. There's never a moment of silence. There's never a moment of just being with your own thoughts, being with your own self. And then when your head hits the pillow, your brain's like, whoa, yes, we're processing. We're going through all this stuff. It's like you don't expect your car to drive highway speed and then pull into the driveway immediately. You have to downshift, right? You might need to fuel up. And so when it comes to sleep hygiene for the hour or two before bed, like no devices. Pick up a physical book, pick up a journal, put on some soft music, make yourself a tea, take some magnesium, magnesium bisglycinate, really beautiful before bed. L-theanine, it's an amino acid. It's really helpful for calming busy mind. Passion flower is a herb you could take as a tincture or a tea, really helpful for calming busy mind. It's rich in L-theanine. So there's all these little tips and tricks that you can use to decrease your stress before bed. And then I have another tip too. If you're somebody who falls asleep but can't stay asleep and you wake up and you're like, oh, damn it. And then you start to like pre-grieve how many hours you have left to sleep. You can do this eye trick. It's a bilateral eye movement. You do it with your eyes closed, but just for the sake of this.
I'm doing it.
Okay. So you're going to look to the left with your eyes closed. Look to the right. And then you're going to just roll your eyes all the way around one way and then all the way around the other way. And then you're going to look left, look right, roll your eyes, and roll your eyes. And even after doing that twice through, you might notice like, oh, it's like feeling a little sleepy. It's a lot of effort to move your eyes like that. But that bilateral movement puts you back in that parasympathetic. It's one of the reasons why walking outside is so different than walking on a treadmill. Both are awesome. I'm not saying don't do treadmill walking if that's what you have access to, but when you walk outside, your eyes are constantly scanning side to side, this bilateral movement, right? And so that puts us into this, oh, it's safe to relax state. One of the, sorry, I feel like I'm just like tangenting here, but
I'm loving this.
Okay, I was going to say one of the somatic practices that I teach in my classes, courses, workshops, when I'm speaking, etc., is something called a neck check. And what you do is you look over one of your shoulders and you just like glance down for 15 to 30 seconds. So you're going to like put your chin over your right shoulder and you're just like casting your gaze just over your right shoulder and down at the floor. And just pay attention if you have the sensation to sigh, swallow, or yawn. And if you do, let yourself do so. And then after 15 to 30 seconds or so, you bring your neck to the other side, chin over the other shoulder, just gazing down. And you just notice, like, do I have the sensation to sigh, swallow, or yawn? Sigh. So then letting yourself sigh, because that's a parasympathetic expression, right? So, beautiful. I think a lot of people forget that the breath is kind of this like ebb and flow of sympathetic and parasympathetic. As you breathe in, that's kind of like associated with the stress response. And as you breathe out, that's your parasympathetic, your rest and digest response. And you need both in fluidity to live. Breath is really important. And yet we don't allow ourselves to like yawn or sigh when we feel the need to. It's really important.
You've given me a gift today in showing awareness to a lot of things.
Cool.
I don't want to end quite yet. One more thing. Tell me, unless you got to go to the washroom or something.
No, I'm good.
Tell me like what your most popular service you provide is. Like, I know I'm not saying it's just like one thing, but like, is it typically those one-on-one sessions?
Yeah, this last year I've been hosting something called nervous system recovery sessions through Revive Wellness in Saskatoon, and that's been really popular. And in those nervous system recovery sessions, specifically, people come in, and I've got this really beautiful, expensive red light infrared grounding mat that also has something called pulse electromagnetic frequency therapy, PEMF therapy. And so I'll put on a frequency like Schumann's resonance, for example, is it basically emulates you laying on grass in the sun and helps your body kind of like decompress and also helps to mitigate all of the radiation and like EMFs and cell tower stuff that we're exposed to on a daily basis, which definitely impacts our mental and physical health. And so they lay on this beautiful mat in a quiet room, soft music with a blanket over top. And then I guide them through a chat. First, we talk about whatever's going on, what their intention is for the session, and then we go through some down-regulating practices, and then I guide a really beautiful body scan meditation and some sort of visualization, and it just puts them in this like max relax place, and then often they'll do a sauna after the fact. So that's really beautiful and been really well received this last year. And then I'm always working on so many different projects because
You ever host retreats?
I host
Like, and I'm
retreats.
like, you made me during this conversation, you talked about the sauna, and I'm like, oh. Okay, and I went to
Yes.
Kananaskis with my wife.
Yeah, I was just there. I literally just co-hosted a retreat there with my
Oh my-
best friend and business partner.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, you didn't invite me.
I
dog.
know. Okay, unfortunately, this is a women's only program. I'm sorry,
fine.
but so I co-host with my best friend. We co-facilitate a 6-week group coaching program called Rhythm Co-Creative, and it's a somatic and self-image program. We focus on 4 different phases. We focus on nervous system regulation, rewiring, limiting beliefs and unhelpful thoughts. Kind of some of the stuff that we talked about today in more depth. We go through resonance and like what frequency, what radio station you're tuning into, so to speak, in your life. And then we also talk about things like circadian rhythm, infradian rhythm, intuition, interoception, et cetera. Kind of like how to get back into alignment with yourself, your true self. And so really beautiful, powerful program. We actually have an upcoming cohort that we're launching. It's going to be in October. And we just booked this like amazing mansion in Sedona, Arizona. So we're doing a 4-day retreat in Sedona. So
That's like how you
coming
wrap up the 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's like the celebration of spending these 6 weeks together with this cohort.
But I can't go.
I
Okay,
know. I'm sorry.
fine.
Your wife can though, so
Fine.
you're invited.
I'll just come as a content creator or something.
Yeah, you know what? We can talk.
Okay, so that's like, that's like one of your favorite things you're doing lately.
It's absolutely one of my favorite things that I do. I light up when I get to teach about this stuff. I light up when I get to facilitate groups of people, and specifically women, sorry, but like groups of people where I get to teach them that it can get better and it can feel better and they can feel better and they have more autonomy than they thought they did. And to me, like when the lights start going off upstairs, people are like, oh my God, I never thought about that connection. Or I never thought, even you in this conversation, you're like, dang, you've given me some things to think about and some self-awareness to like consider. That's such a gift because you don't need me to do that for you. We can talk about this and then you can go into your life and go, right, I'm going to start this practice or I'm going to incorporate more of this in my life because that feels like it'll help me to get to or experience and feel more of the things that I'd like to feel more often. So yeah, that 6-week group coaching program with the retreat is really awesome. And I've been working on another project for the entire last year that I'm launching in May, I believe. And it's called The Garden, and it's a digital audio library. There's about 60 tracks recorded. It's all under 10-minute breathwork, meditation, tapping, mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, reframe sessions, set to music, recorded and edited by me. And it's this like kind of like private podcast of sorts where your best self grows. So that's really exciting. That's coming up as well.
Very cool.
Thank you.
I love this. Well, and the other thing is like, as an entrepreneur, it's like you came from teaching. You said you did. I mean, I'm going to say it on here, but Beachbody after that.
Yeah, network marketing. I was a waitress. I was a farmhand. I painted houses. Like I've done lots of different things over the years.
I like the idea of like, I would define authenticity as people like living mostly in their own values.
Mm-hmm.
You are authentic to me by that definition.
Really appreciate that.
And I believe in, I don't know if you'd call it gravity, but like there's this magnetism to people who are authentic. They always just attract, because they're so themselves, they attract people who are like curious about that.
Thank you.
So how has business been like an exciting part of this whole adventure? Like,
of course.
Like I went on your website, like your website is like completely packed full of things, I was like,
Do you want to hear a secret?
yeah, tell me.
I do my own website as well.
Why? So do we. So do we.
And it's just
And
one
you
of
make your own
those.
podcast.
Yep.
Like these are like ways you have self-expression and
Yeah.
live
These are
your.
the ways that I'm creative in the world and that I get to, just like we talked about values earlier. First of all, thank you very much, because authenticity is one of my highest values. And so I really appreciate that. Authenticity, integrity, honesty, connection. Those are all, like, above all, those are the way that I kind of like try to lead my life. But the podcast, the group coaching programs, even social media, I treat as kind of like a digital journal of, hey, here's what I'm up to, and here's how I can kind of like teach and hopefully inspire people to, feel better. Just feel. I don't. It's good to feel good is what I always come back to, and I kind of use as a tagline. It's good to feel good, and it's possible. I think some people, they maybe don't think it's possible for them because of whatever we talked about previously. It's always been this way. I've always been sick. This always happens to me. And it's like, dude, take a deep breath, change your mental story, check what you're doing with your body, with your posture, and try again. There's a lot of power to be had from just bringing awareness to a current thought and just witnessing it instead of associating and attaching to it.
This is awesome. What's one let's close with this question.
Okay.
What is one idea, belief, or mindset you would like to leave people with?
Well, when it comes to the conversation about authenticity, like you had just mentioned, there's a quote that comes to mind that I think has really influenced me in the way that I show up in the world. And it takes vulnerability, right, to be authentic, because you also have to face your own judgments or the fear of perceived judgments from others. And so there's this quote, and it's, your vulnerability makes you human, and your humanness makes you relatable. And I just think that, and I think I'm butchering the quote, it might be the other way around, but that to me is so powerful, because I know we were chatting as we went to the coffee shop before this, like, should we dress up for this podcast or just be casual and wear jeans or whatever? And I just think in a world that's so curated, in a world that's obsessed with being in the online world that's so curated, we get really tripped up on how things are supposed to look, how we're supposed to look, how we are being perceived. And to me, authenticity is, this is who I am. I'm not different when I'm with my family. I'm not different when I'm with my husband or when I'm with people that I'm working with or clients. I'm just me. And that's enough. And I love who I'm being. And I'm proud of who I'm being. And I take really good care of myself. And then that lends into a really beautiful sense of confidence, not from an arrogant place, but a self-trust place. And like I said before, you can't hate something you're taking really good care of, right? And so because I take such good care of myself, I do love myself, and that extends into everything that I touch with work or the people I meet in the grocery store or at the gas station. And that is what you're feeling, is that authenticity. It's just, I'm comfortable being who I am. I love who I'm being, and I've practiced that because I wasn't always the case.
And is that what you want for others?
Of course
Like,
I do.
as like beyond, like when you think of wellness, is like you just want.
Why do we choose any wellness technique or practice? Why does anybody do anything? Because they want to feel better. They think, if I buy this thing, if I do these Pilates classes, if I go to this dance class, if I wear this set, I will feel better, right? And so what I'm trying to encourage is, you don't actually need to do, you can, absolutely, life is so beautiful and it's meant to be experienced and lived, but you don't need those things, those external things, in order to create feel betterness in your body right now. But that also comes from a place of, where are you judging yourself? Where are the things that you're not processing or looking at internally? Like, what kind of self-reflection can you create so that you can like release and forgive and let go of some of this stuff? Weed the garden, so to speak. What are the weeds in your mind that you need to get rid of and release, so that you can create more space for good to grow?
I love this. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
I think you should just come back again.
Happily.
Another time.
Anytime. You supply the matcha, I'll be here.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks for being here. If you'd like to connect with Marie, you can find her on Instagram at Marie Barker Wellness.
Yeah. Also my website, Marie Barker Wellness.
She's got an awesome website. She's got some new programs. This is probably going to air in June, late June.
Okay, amazing.
So But yeah, we'll have clips. Clips are always.
Yeah. And I mean, the Rhythm Co-Creative program doesn't start till October, so that'll still be open registration. The retreat might be sold out by then, but the program will still be available. The garden will be available by then, that digital private podcast, the audio library, and I'm sure that I'll be up to at least 3 more projects at that point, so just connect.
We'll put all these things in like the show notes.
Sure, beautiful.
As well.
Perfect.
If you can send those to me.
Yeah, you bet.
And
I'll send you my links.
But my only recommend for everybody listening, just go follow Marie on Marie Barker Wellness at Instagram.
And reach out. Like, it's me. I run my account, obviously.
We're only here because you've just messaged me out of the blue.
And do you know why I messaged you out of the blue?
No.
Because I saw a fellow creative who wanted to put out genuine connection and conversations into the world. And that's one of my favorite things to do, is to connect with people over meaningful topics, to then, you know, I don't have all the answers. I certainly don't. I'm a person in the world. This is my first time here too.
That's not a relief,
Thank
because
God.
I do not have the answers.
No, but, and I've worked with enough people. Like, I've worked with well over 1,000 people over the last decade through all my different ventures to understand that most people feel like they don't have their shit together. Most people are dealing with some sort of insecurity, and most people think they'll be happy when they achieve or do or get something else. And so you just kind of see these through lines like we were talking about before. And because I have seen these through lines, it's also given me really good perspective of, oh, like some of these things that I deal with internally, I'm not unique in having these thoughts, you know. It's just the human nature of what it is to be a person in the modern world. And so it just helps me bring myself back to myself and remember that it's really not a big deal and everything is good, even when it's hard.